is where MAGA comes to talk. Welcome, one and all. Man, I tell you, there is a lot happening, a lot going on. I'm going to cover a lot. And I was looking over some of the comments that people leave here on YouTube about different videos and things and topics that are discussed by me or callers or things going on in the news about Trump and everything else. And the title is "Why Do Never Trumpers Hate Trump?" And the never Trump. It depends on what group of never Trumpers you're like talking about, right? Like if you're talking, when I talk about never Trumpers, there's two groups. Like there's regular people, and then there's like the Washington people. And the Washington people, like the rhinos and everything, they're never Trumpers and hate Trump because he's a threat to their power and all of that they have up there in the uniparty. But regular people like these trolls you see in the chat, why do they hate Trump? And it fits into a few different categories, but without question, liberals, and this is not new with liberals. This is true with liberals going way back, but liberals just hate the United States. They hate the country. And, we're a large country. We have a large population. And when you have this many people, you're going to have some outlier lunatics in a society. But, thankfully, right now, don't you think about this now? This is really at a great and amazing time that we are living in. Right now, today, the MAGA movement is larger than it ever has been because people are getting red-pilled every day. And I know that the liberals are trying to get this false narrative going for the last year and a half that MAGA people have turned on Trump. That's just ridiculous. The MAGA movement is larger than ever, and there are fewer and fewer liberals and never Trumpers than ever before. And every day these things go by, and you see it. Now, you look at what's happening in Spain. They've had 3 waves of invaders hitting the beaches. About what I heard, one estimate, 50,000 Muslim invaders into Spain over the last couple of days. What do I think of Trump hiring his former lawyer to head the DOJ? I'll tell you about that in a minute. And on my podcast, which will be in less than an hour, because I'm going to go from here back to the studio and podcast and take your live calls, one of the clips I'm going to play on today's podcast is... I can't remember if it's CNN or MS Now. I think it's CNN, but it's one of the liberals on one of those 2 liberal cable news networks that are talking about how these people are coming here for a better life and they just want a better life in Spain. The Democrat Party and liberals, they're combining both their hatred of the United States on an average day to their desperate hope to have power. And their only hope to cling on to power is to repopulate the Western countries with third world people that'll do their bidding. That's it. What they're doing is doing everything they could do to bring down not just the United States, but Western civilization. But the United States is the leader of Western civilization. And if we get a Democrat president back in there, what's been going on in Spain the last couple of days, that's what they'll do to the southern border again for years, okay? Until they replace the population of this country with people from other countries. That's a fact. Now, somebody had asked about Todd Blanche. What do I think about him hiring his lawyer to be the attorney general? Yeah, I think that's a good thing. Right? You want an attorney general. What's wrong with that? You want an attorney general that the president knows and can trust. What is he supposed to do? Bring in a stranger? Give me a break. Of course not. Why should he bring in a stranger? Todd Blanche is doing a great job. He's done more in the last couple of months than Pam Bondi did in a year. Get off your phone. You live stream 24/7. Get a life. Well, you're watching me 24/7. So, which one of us has less of a life? Me, who's actually streaming, or you, who's watching? Right? Because doesn't quite make sense to me. But the the nomination of Todd Blanche, this is amazing. So they've come out and said that the president can keep him a acting attorney general forever. He doesn't ever have to go through the Senate nomination process. You know, you got these two spoiled brats, Corning, you know, in there, who's holding up the Todd Blanche nomination because Trump primaried them out of office. So what? You think, you know, Trump's not like a normal president. He's not like a normal politician, and he doesn't let these things slow him down. You know, and I remember once Eric Trump said that his dad is at his best when you think he's down or he's down. They released all of the Epstein files. It's always USA first. Absolutely. Absolutely. I see the anti-Semites are up early this morning. It's 5:15 a.m. here on the East Coast. Anti-Semites set their clocks early. Welcome. If you're new to my channel, my name is Brian Craig. This is where MAGA comes to talk. Make sure that you subscribe. Okay. Now, President Trump signed the law, making it federal law that the federal government had to release all of the Epstein files. So catch up with the news, guys. Catch up with the news. You're like, I don't know, how many months ago was that? 6 months ago? Maybe more? Have you been in a coma? Have you been incarcerated? How are you not up to date on this news? It hasn't been talked about in a while because the media stopped covering it because they don't have it to hold over Trump's head anymore. But no, they released all the files. Nope, they have been fully released. You're just not informed, Johnny. I'm sorry. Catch up. All right? This is a stream for informed people that are up to date on the latest news. But, you know, it blew my mind when I saw this liberal pundit on television. I'm going to play the clip on the show this morning. But it showed that they were saying that, well, you know, these migrants in Spain, they just want a better life. And, you know, normal people are looking at what's going on in Spain, and it's terrifying, isn't it? Right? It's terrifying. And it's not just terrifying to watch. Can you imagine what it's like for the people in Spain, in that town? I saw one woman interviewed who lives there. She was scared to death. She says they're breaking in the homes. What can we do? Right? And, you know, liberals, when they, you and I who are normal people, we see what's happening in Spain and we think, oh my goodness, that's awful. That's terrible. I'm scared for the people that live in that town. This is what wokeism does, and this is what was going on at our southern border for 4 long auto pen years, and it'll come back if we get a Democrat in office again. But liberals are energized by this because they say, oh, look. Yeah, we want to bring this back. Hunter Biden's let me ask you, is there a delay, like a 4-year delay on the chat? You're talking about Hunter Biden's laptop? All that came out like 4 or 5 years ago. What's going on here? Am I on delay? Have I traveled back in time? Is it 2020? Again, what year is it? I thought it was August 1st, 2026, but these liberals in the chat are talking about things from years ago and months ago. I feel like I'm in a time warp in reverse. Have I traveled back in time? Is this a chat room from the past? Welcome, everyone. Welcome, everyone. But, you know, I'll tell you this. I'm watching a lot of people from the UK watching what's going on in Spain, and they're really upset. I was telling you guys, I was talking about this yesterday, that, you know, here in Florida, in the United States, you know, we go to all the Caribbean countries for getaways, weekend getaways, for vacations. The Democrats, who are all excited about this, don't want you to see what's going on in the UK in response to Spain, so they're not going to show too much of this on television. But the Brits vacation in Spain for whatever reason. That's their Caribbean, and they're heartbroken over what's happening. A lot of Brits own homes in Spain. And now they're seeing Spain turned into what England's been turned into. Mm-hmm. That's right. if you look at the history of this country and Democrats and liberals, they brought us nothing good. What good has come from the left? Can you think of what good has come from Democrats? What is the last thing that Democrats did for the United States and the American people that's a good thing? I was asking this question yesterday, and not one Democrat came up with an answer. You guys got any ideas? When is the last time the Democrat Party did something that benefited citizens of the United States in a good way? Something good. Think about that. You know? You hear it, you hear it a lot from these Democrat socialists. They're so upset about all these things, and they want to turn back the clock. They're upset about the deportations. They want to abolish ICE. Keep the rapists, the murderers, and the other criminals in the country. Who's in favor of that? Who's in favor of that? The Democrats are traitors. Absolutely, Marcus. Absolutely, I agree. The Democrats are traitors. No question. No question. Let's see here, Mr. Vision. So what are you trying to say? If it happens in the USA, it happens elsewhere. It shouldn't happen to the USA. I lost you there. It shouldn't happen to the USA, estimating. I don't understand your comment. Is the superpower? That doesn't even make sense. I don't know why so many of these liberals are obsessed over a dead pedophile. I don't understand. With Epstein, why do you guys obsess over that so much? Where's Anthony Weiner? Now, the next stream after this, I'm going to go from here back to the studio, and I'm going to podcast this morning here on YouTube. I'll live stream and take your live calls, and you're welcome to call in about all of these things. I'm going to start, though. The thumbnail has Victor Davis Hanson in it and Mamdani, and I'm going to cover a story and about Victor Davis Hanson and Mamdani. Hillary Clinton servers. See what I mean? Have I traveled back in time? I feel like I've traveled back in time with this chat room. You guys are talking about things that old news. News, if you drop the S, is new. So I talk about things that are new. That's where news comes from. You guys are talking about like history. Yep. Both sides are traitors? You mean like the Democrat Socialist of America and the Democrats? The regular, yes, they are. Yeah. Yeah, news means new. N-E-W, new. I am waking up. That's why I have the coffee. The coffee is to wake me up. Yeah, news. But I got a lot of things I'm going to cover on the podcast today, so you will not want to miss it. But, one thing I'm starting to notice in the last day, really, this is really fresh, and it's starting to happen more. The Democrat Socialist of America, they're doing these interviews, and they're backtracking. There's this one woman, Democrat Socialist commie, her name's Hong, like Hong Kong, but she's from Korea originally. She's running for governor of Wisconsin. And there's another Democrat socialist somewhere, too. I can't remember which one, but she's continually, oh, no, I don't support defunding the police. I don't support defunding ICE. They're trying to walk back all these things because it's so unpopular. Even the Democrat socialists are admitting, in an off way that the Democrat Socialist of America agenda is so negative. There's been a culture war going on in this country forever. It's never ended, right? And the Democrats are always on the wrong side of it. McCarthyism, yeah. I mean, McCarthy, what's going on right now with the Democrat Socialists is they're proving McCarthy right? The communist infiltration of the United States continues. It's going on right now. Not all politicians are scumbags. All Democrats are, and Rhino Republicans, of course. No, that's not what McCarthyism is. No, 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 no. McCarthyism is not that. What's wrong? What's wrong with calling someone a communist or a socialist if that's what they are? The Democratic Socialist, it's in their name, socialist. Democratic Socialist of America leaders just pledged allegiance to China, the Chinese Communist Party. That's communism, right? So it's not. There's nothing wrong with calling people what they are. John Wayne was a great, great conservative. That's right, Itchy. That's right. The Democrat Socialists of America are imploding because you see them reversing all these wackadoodle positions they have. How specifically are Democrats communist? I give you an example that's going on right now. Is Mamdani is opening up these government grocery stores, which will put private grocery stores out of business. That's communism. He's taking a private business and making it a government operation. That's communism. Textbook communism. Mm-hmm. That's right, Travis. That's it. That's textbook communism. Of course, they don't call it that because Americans don't like communism, but that's what it is. Well, the national debt, I mean, what we've learned, courtesy of Nick Shirley's incredible reporting in Minnesota and the work of Doge with Elon Musk, but Nick Shirley in Minneapolis in California, is the reason there's a national debt is because the Democrats' theft of everything that's going on, right? All this Medicaid fraud that's going on by the Democrats has given us our national debt. If we could stop this Democrat Medicaid fraud, the debt would be wiped out. The budget would be balanced. That's exactly right. Mm-hmm. What's wrong with AIPAC? I don't know what kind of fascists have fascists don't have elections, right? If Trump were a fascist, there'd be no midterm election. He would just declare victory, and that's it. What the Democrats are advocating for the abolishment of the presidency and the Senate. That's fascism and violent overthrow of the government. Not much, not much. Another great morning in America. Yep. You will not want to miss today's podcast. If you're new to my channel, make sure you subscribe. The stream right after this, it'll be about 20 minutes or so. I'll be live streaming in the studio, taking your live calls. Okay? You won't want to miss that because I got a lot to cover today, quite a bit. Warlex, welcome. Welcome, a new subscriber. Oh, yeah, and I do take live calls. You're welcome to call me when I'm in the studio. The number's pinned in the live chat. And we're going to cover a lot. Oh, CNN is, even the liberal media outlets are pushing back against the Democrat Socialist of America commies because they realize how bad it is. The polls aren't looking too good for them. I have blind spots? Well, whatever. It's called life experience. Yes, good MAGA morning. Tina Louise, welcome everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. If you're new, make sure that you subscribe. But what I'm going to start with today is Victor Davis Hanson has the most perfect breakdown of Zohan Mamdani. New York City, being mayor of New York City is a bigger deal than being governor of most states. Here you take a guy. How old is Mamdani? 34. Never had a job, never done anything. Born to a very wealthy family, and you give him charge of America's most important city, and really the most important city in the world, which has a pretty large economy. I mean, that's crazy. It's crazy. Yeah. I mean, that makes no sense at all. Oh, I know, Robert. I love it. I drove by Donald John Trump International Airport yesterday too. I love it. I love seeing the signs on I-95. It's awesome. Have you guys seen my video tour I did a couple weeks ago there? It was 2 Saturdays ago. Mm-hmm. We are great and getting greater, thanks to President Trump. Indeed. No doubt about it. Mm-hmm. Yep. That's the greatness of Trump. You know, we're so spoiled right now with President Trump because President Trump has raised the bar of expectations that the American people have for our politicians. Right? Yeah, I was watching, there's that new show on Netflix about the Pan Am 103 bombing over Lockerbie, Scotland. And I watched the first episode. I'm part of the way in the second episode. I can't believe they got this movie made in the UK, and it's a British cast. And it's amazing to me, after that Lockerbie bombing, they've turned their country over to the Muslims in the UK. It's insane. Yeah, there was, I think was it United Airlines that was offering people free transfers to another airport if they didn't want to land at the airport named Donald John Trump International Airport. I mean, that's psychotic. No, completely psychotic. See what I mean about the old news? You're talking about Khashoggi. That was like years ago. See what I mean? I feel like, I don't know what it is with these liberals in the chat today. They're talking about things from years ago. So is it August 1st, 2026 to everybody in the chat room? Because people are talking about things from 2018, 2020, 2024. Very strange. Project 2025. See what I mean? That's like last year. I feel like I've traveled back in time to a chat room from another era. Exactly. But Khashoggi, what he did was incredibly stupid, okay? First off, Khashoggi was a CIA spy. His father, Adnan Khashoggi, at one time was the richest man in the world, his uncle. And Khashoggi, the reporter that was killed at that Saudi embassy, I'm not justifying what they did to him, but I'm telling you what happened. His uncle, Adnan Khashoggi, who was the one-time richest man in the world, was an arms dealer, and he was the arms dealer in the Reagan administration arms for hostages deal with Iran. And I know they like to present Khashoggi as a reporter from the Washington Post. That was a cover. He was a CIA spy who was constantly taking on the Saudi royal family, and he did something very stupid, and that was go inside the Saudi embassy. What did he think was going to happen? That's Saudi territory. I mean, he should have known better. Shouldn't have done that. I mean, that was... I'm not justifying what they did, but going into that Saudi embassy, that was insanity. Yeah. Yeah. You don't hear me talking about Hillary's emails, right? I've moved on. Hillary's retired and sentenced to life incarceration of living with Bill Clinton. So the Clintons both have life sentences of living with each other. Oh, my goodness. Yep. I mean, if you were doing the things he was doing, would you go inside the Saudi embassy? I don't think so. He went in there to update his travel documents. I think he went in there to update his passport, if I remember correctly. I'm doing very well, Dumas. Thank you very much. Mm-hmm. The Clintons are evil, especially Hillary. Yeah. Yep. No doubt. If he was an American citizen, he had dual citizenship. But when you walk into an embassy of any country, you have left the country you're in, and now you're in their country, right? Like if I go into the Russian embassy, I'm in Russia. That's the way it is. His uncle was an international arms dealer, Agnon Khashoggi, in the 80s. And he was a CIA guy. Yep. Trump wasn't involved in politics before. Anti-Trump people are sick? That's correct. Yes, I agree. Yeah, you can call us cult members if you want. It's not true, but you can call us that. It's America. Free speech. That's right, the GOAT. I know. I've got to renew my passport for the next MAGA cruise. I have not done. It's not quite expired yet, but it will be expired before the cruise. I got to get it done. I've been putting it off. That's right. The great MAGA king, Donald Trump. Absolutely. Absolutely. No question. Yep. I wish I was making $1 billion a day. That'd be nice. What's wrong with making money? Cousins should never marry. That's a good rule of thumb. Right? Yep. If by worst you mean the best, I would agree with that. He is the best by far. Without question, he's the greatest, best president of my lifetime, and arguably the greatest in history of the United States. Mm-hmm. Yep. Oh, yeah. The best president of my life. It's not even up for debate. Greatest president of my lifetime. Absolutely. Everyone always likes to give Washington because he was the first, but, and Lincoln did great things, but the country went to a civil war where 1 million Americans got killed when he got elected, so, Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, Rudy married his cousin, and and the church wouldn't recognize it. It was annulled. That was like in the 60s or 70s. Yeah, 68. Yeah. Yeah, that was wrong. He shouldn't have done that. But that marriage was annulled. Your sister married her second cousin? Gross. That's gross. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I don't know why they point to Giuliani marrying his cousin in 1960. I think it was his second cousin, too. In 1968, the marriage was annulled. And what does that mean? Because Mayor Giuliani did it? We think it's okay today? I don't think so. That's crazy. No, we don't support that either. See, that's how Democrats are. They think just because some Republican did something, we're going to agree with it and support it. Are you crazy? That would be mindless cult-like behavior. The majority of the American people do not hate him. He was just elected to a second and non-consecutive term. He won the popular vote in all the battleground states. So your information that most Americans hate him is inaccurate based on the fact that he won the popular vote. Right? Exactly, Lone Wolf. Exactly. Well, I go by the polls on Election Day, and Trump won the popular vote. That is an accurate poll. That's a real poll, not some sampling of 500 people. Mm-hmm. I'm sure the Trump coin's fine. I don't know. I haven't checked it in a while. Doing good. Well, guys, I'm going to take off. I got to head back to the studio. So I'll see you in a few minutes on the next stream in the studio, taking your calls. If you're new, make sure you subscribe. My name is Brian. This is where MAGA comes to talk. I'll see you in a few. Take care.